Now entering Nerdist.com.
Hello and welcome to Today We Learned number 29. This is your host, Dan, but unfortunately this is the last time you're going to hear my voice this episode because I was sick when it was recorded. So today's episode features the delightful Matt Kirshen. He is a hilarious stand-up comedian. You might have seen him on Set List on the Nerdist channel. He has a hilarious podcast called Probably Science. But like I said, I won't be around to chat with him, much to my chagrin. What you will hear, though, is Razzle. You know, you hear that guy every week. He's great. He's pretty cool. And you're also going to hear the delightful Ben Gleib, who is actually our first guest. Fantastic comedian. Listen to his Last Week on Earth podcast. But first, listen to him step into my weirdly shaped shoes as he goes on a journey through knowledge and learning and all that educational rigmarole with today's guest, Matt Kirshen. But first, I'm not going to keep you guys too long, but first, I got to give some props to our sponsor for this week's episode, T-Fury. T-Fury, love those guys. Is there anything they can't do? Well, probably, but, you know, we're not here to talk about that. What we are here to talk about is how T-Fury is your original pop culture t-shirt destination, selling unique designs every day since 2008. You can snag their t-shirts for 24 hours only, starting at midnight. Missing a shirt from the past and you want to get it again? Well, head to the T-Fury Gallery where you can buy some old designs still in print and vote on others to come back from the dead. Every 2 to 4 weeks, T-Fury adds more designs to their gallery, so be sure to keep an eye out for the return of your favorite shirts. Now you might be wondering, what sort of fandoms and topics do they cover? The answer is all of them. Everything from gaming, sci-fi, anime, TV, movies, pop culture, and more. It's all there. Their t-shirts change daily as well, so be sure to check back as often as you like. And don't forget about the T-Fury After Hours sale. Seriously, guys, please stop forgetting about this. If you missed the day shirt by only a little bit, like a teensy bit, they keep the sale going into the wee hours of the morning just for you. So be sure to check out tfury.com/nerdist. That's teefury.com/nerdist and see what today's shirt is all about. So guys, thank you again for downloading and listening. Really hope you enjoyed this week's episode. I'll be back in full effect next week. But until then, prepare your bodies for Today We Learn number 29 with Matt Kirshen.
Today we learn. Gentlemen, let's broaden our minds.
Alrighty, welcome back to another episode of Today We Learned. My name is Razzle, and filling in for Dan. Dan's out of town right now, so we got the very funny Ben Gleib. You remember him from our inaugural episode. You've seen him on Chelsea lately. You've seen him. You've listened to him on the Last Week on Earth podcast.
Just last week on Earth.
Last Week on Earth.
Last Week on Earth. You said it right to me a minute ago. Now you're off the rails.
No, I'm off the rails.
Second 5 of the podcast.
Filling in for Dan is the awesome Ben Gleib.
It's good to be here. Thanks for having me, Raz.
Absolutely. Thanks for helping out.
Yeah,
and with
absolutely.
us as our very special guest is the very funny Matt Kirshen. You've seen him on Last Comic Standing. He tours all over the place.
Hey.
You got also a podcast, Probably Science. I believe,
That's
right?
it.
And so thanks Matt for joining us.
Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure.
As usual, as our listeners know, we start off the podcast with a guest providing either a fact about themselves or something they learned recently. There's no rules or pressure. So.
I call that a fact about others. That's the way I refer to it.
Fact about other. Well, here's a fact about both me and others.
Absolutely.
And that is, no matter how well I bowl, this dickhead's going to beat me by 2. We all went bowling the other day. A whole group of us went bowling, and I bowled far and away the best game I've ever. I'm not good at bowling, and I just had a weird it just kept hitting strikes. It seemed like a trick. I don't know what was going on, and I was like, "Yeah, nailed it." And then this household turns out can actually bowl properly.
Razzle's a good bowler,
I'm a fairly good bowler, and I was doing bad. I was doing very poorly, too. Like, I think I only had, 2 or 3 strikes, but I was hitting a lot of spares. And for some reason, normally I'm better throwing strikes than spares, but I ended up getting 169, which is, it's a good game. It's a very good game. But
it's substantially better than anything I've ever managed it.
When you're on, we were bowling. I don't know if you've ever been upstairs at the Roosevelt. They got the 2.
Of course, spare room.
Yeah, the
great
spare
bar.
room. I love it. They have 2 old school bowling lanes, and there was a bunch of comics there for like just a Sunday night bowling fest. And Matt's team bowled first, and everybody was like enjoying it and so forth. Then I get up there, and there's like Bridenstine and my roommate Dave Waite and a bunch of Andy Peters and all of them, a bunch of other comics, and they're it's just next thing I know, there's like a bunch of people were like watching because like everybody's just getting drunk and having a good time, and it got done. Matt, all of a sudden, I think Matt leaves, and next thing I know, Matt's standing there just like waiting.
I'm just waiting, just because you got me on the last ball.
Yeah, waiting as the as the score keeps getting tallied. Matt keeps creeping closer and closer to me.
I was doing the math in my head as well. I was like calculating. I was like, okay, you need to get on that last one. Like you got a spare, and on that last one, you had to kind of get. It was like, okay, you have to get.
I need to get
8 to draw with me, 9 to beat me, and you got to strike.
Here's something I learned today. I was not invited to the comic bowling hangout at the Roosevelt.
I think you were out of town. Believe it or
When
not.
was it? When was it?
2 weekends ago, right? 2 Sundays ago. Yeah, you were out of town.
I was out of town.
Well,
I'll keep you in mind.
Thank you.
I
like the bowl.
Do you?
Are you a handy bowler?
I mean, look, I've had moments, and lately I haven't played in many years, and I go and I talk a big game, and I disappoint everybody. Well, but I'm willing to try.
Here's the thing. I don't know what you two are doing this Wednesday night. I don't know if you guys got shows or not. I'm setless. I don't have any shows this Wednesday night. But this Wednesday night is my birthday. And I'm thinking about going to Pins. I'm going to send out a text or whatever, and I'm thinking about going to Pins up in North
Way to plan in advance. Give people, 1 day notice before your birthday party?
Yeah. Not only that, this podcast is going to go out after that.
Well, this is for you two. This is for you guys.
I do have a set at another bowling alley at Lucky Strike, actually.
Okay.
But maybe afterwards.
Yeah,
well,
go
what
there. If you do your birth party there, and then we can all ruin Ben's set.
Yeah, that would be awesome. That would be awesome. It's Luciano Gattaca's going away show from the Dirty and 30 crew.
Okay, yeah.
And they're having their last show and then a party afterwards there. And something I learned about comedy at Lucky Strike years ago was that you can perform comedy while there's a fist fight in your audience. I was at Lucky Strike years and years ago doing a set, and suddenly it's a bowling alley, but there's like a very thick curtain separating the bowling alley from the showroom, otherwise it'd be very hard to hear.
Yeah.
And this guy, literally, this drunk man, jumps under and through the curtain and just starts beating on a guy sitting right there.
And that guy had no prior engagement with this.
I don't know. It seemed like there must have been some prior engagement, but I don't know how this guy knew where the guy was sitting behind a heavy curtain up a jump. So maybe not. I didn't ask. But they started beating the shit out of each other, and I'm on stage, and I just started doing play-by-play of the fight, and the show did not end. Like 2/3 of the crowd were still laughing at what I was saying about them, while 1/3 was like running for their lives. It was really interesting, and then just segued right back into material.
Just right back
with like a much more adrenaline fueled energy.
Yeah.
Were you wired after that gig?
Oh yeah, I was wired, and I started carrying weapons with me, concealed carries. Just to make sure
weapons,
it's a tough
all
game.
sorts of weapons. Like no.
What are the gun laws in California? Like, is it a concealed carry state? I should know this, given that I live here now.
I think you just have to get a concealed carry license. Yes, if you want to carry a gun. But
does LA have its own separate laws, like LA County?
I don't think LA does. But I don't think you can have laws like that per city. Can you? Per county? I think it has to be statewide.
I don't know. We're getting some research done over.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know that. But I did just learn last night that certain states, like Tennessee, I learned, has a law that you can either conceal your weapon or expose it either way.
Right.
I feel like it almost. I feel like it's a catch-22. Like, would you rather have people secretly carrying guns, or would you rather have everybody have the guns out and open so you're aware that the guns are there and they're...
I'm going to go out on a limb here and say I would rather there aren't guns around. Like, they
because you're British. That's because you're British and you guys hate guns.
Yeah, this game is shitless. They really do. And the idea that just... Like, I don't want an idiot I am. I don't want me having guns. I don't want people who are...
no, there would be a loophole so you wouldn't get guns.
Oh, yeah, okay, fine. But people of my ilk.
Right.
People of my kind.
That's a tough one. I would rather know if somebody else had one, but I'd rather keep mine concealed.
Right.
I agree with you that it's not fun to have guns everywhere. We had a big debate last night with a friend of mine about whether you'd rather be stabbed or shot, and I think if you're going to die, getting shot's better, but getting stabbed is
are worse.
I feel worse. But if you want to live, stab wound's better because you're more likely to live.
I don't know. I feel like my buddy was a cop years ago, and he told me that like knives are way more dangerous than guns because you can get. There's way more, from what I've heard. I mean, I don't know the physics of the human body with I haven't studied.
Luckily, I'm here.
I haven't studied wounds or anything like that, but I feel like a knife can damage way more internally than like a bullet going.
Yeah, I think it all depends on the type of bullet and the type of gun that fires it, and
Right.
also whether the bullet goes straight through the body.
Right, which is better, which is preferable. I learned.
Yeah, because then it doesn't absorb
clean.
because it's energy transferred. So if it stops in the body, all of the kinetic energy from the bullet
Stops in the body.
disperses somewhere in your body, in your insides. But if
Right.
it goes straight through, then a lot of that energy is still with it as it passes through the outside.
And a lot of bullets will actually expand when they land at their final destination, so it's best to not have that happen inside your body.
Yeah.
Hollow points apparently expand; they break up inside the body. I learned that last night. Big gun talk last night.
What were you? What stemmed this? True Detective or what?
No, I was at a friend's birthday party. It was very unusual. You didn't expect it. It was my two very dear friends. They're a homosexual couple.
Okay.
You don't expect it to turn into a guns rights talk, but it did.
Were they on different sides of the equation?
No. The birthday boy wasn't even involved. He was eating cake on the balcony, and then it just happened. It was just a very sweet, docile couple, friends of mine, straight couple, Ivan and Roz, and then they mentioned they were carrying a weapon right then on them.
They mentioned it.
And then they pulled the gun out, and I got to hold it.
What kind of gun
It was a
that?
22.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
See, that scares me.
It was scary.
And I do find it incredible. I find it really odd that some states in America are like, you can have a gun, but you better keep it hidden. And other states are like, you can have a gun, but you better not keep it hidden. Like,
Yeah.
like completely 100% contradictory, mutually exclusive laws in different states.
And then West Virginia, I think it was, recently passed a rule. This one I do not understand. They just passed legislation that you can now carry a gun to a bar. Which seems like unnecessary to even bring that up, let alone pass it through the state legislature.
Yeah.
And then that's the one place I really don't want guns. It's like when everybody's wasted.
Yeah, I don't want guns around alcohol or...
Yeah, you should have to sort of have a locker that you put it. You know, like when you go into some stores where they don't trust teenagers and you have to leave your bag by the counter. It should be like that. You check your gun with them and they put it in a locker with your driver license or whatever, and you get it back at the end of the night.
Yeah, like a violent coat check.
So that way, if you're going to rob the place, rob the cash register first and get all of those guns, then get more money.
True. You go up to the gun check and say, "Give me all your guns." And then you just really take that place over. But you'd think they would like account for that. You know what I mean? They would have some kind of safety measure, like a thick glass that drops on the press of a button or something.
I don't know. They scare me. Like, you ever been to West Edmonton Mall? There's a comedy club
many
there.
times.
Right.
Many times.
So we were passing through
In
there.
Canada.
A whole group of us, there are a whole group of comics on the road, and they've got a gun range there. And
Never
two
done
of the
that.
guys really were like, "Yeah, we're going to the gun range. We're going to shoot," and they were all about it. And we went to the water park. Like there was a clear split, like in the group between like shoot who wants to shoot and who wants to go wee and go down the slide.
Wee. That's another place there should not be guns is at a water park. I feel like you don't want to be slipping when holding a gun.
We had a look at we did have a look at them when they were going into the gun range, and the marshals who like run the gun range, they've got the guns on the holster. And they basically look like they're ready at any moment to just take out someone who goes a bit crazy.
Oh, yeah. I mean, it's like blue balls. You know, you're around all that all night. All day, you're going to want to...
When I was at that West Edmonton Mall, I walked one of the times there at the Comic Strip Comedy Club. I walked into that gun range. I didn't shoot that time, but there was a couple that had just been married that day. She was in her wedding dress. They were shooting guns on their wedding day, which I thought was so romantic. And then came to my show. And so I got to really mess with those people who's...
Do you reckon they shot at least a couple of them like Ghost style?
Of course, holding each other from behind, molding bullets towards the target. I think definitely they were. Unchained Melody playing in the background, little Righteous Brothers tribute.
That's awesome.
But I've been shooting twice.
Shooting a big heart.
Shooting a heart on the target, probably, in the heart.
Yeah,
heart-shaped
with arrows.
bullets.
Yeah.
With arrows, exactly. Cupid, they're wearing, the groom was wearing wings.
Wings, yeah.
But the first time I went shooting was downtown L.A., and it was literally like on the way to a charity gig for people down Skid Row, so I thought that was an interesting contrast. It was like, let's shoot, and then let's help. But it was so powerful, and the guns were so heavy. Literally, they handed me at one point a shotgun I wanted to fire, and I got nervous. I dropped the gun.
Right.
I mean, it literally could have fired and killed us right there. You don't want to drop guns.
No.
I mean, it's dangerous. I don't like it.
It's interesting. Speaking of like different laws and like guns and things like that. I was reading
Book. Magazine?
No, I don't read books. I read Print is dead, as Egon Spengler, rest in peace. I was reading online, and France, this is a fact I got written down here, but while we're talking about, like death and all that type of stuff, this is really interesting. France was still using the guillotine when Star Wars came out. According to a recent article on Huffington Post.
77?
Yeah, yep. The last time the guillotine was used as a form of execution in France was in 1977. The guillotine lasted for about 2 centuries. The first Star Wars film was also released in 1977.
So who got guillotined in 77?
Yeah, somebody who was doing some wrongdoing.
No, it was a Star Trek fan. We're not. Is it pronounced guillotine or guillotine?
Well, it depends where you are.
Is it?
I
How about
say-
right
Depends
here?
whether you're in France or not. It depends whether you're one of those people who orders in foreign restaurants using the accent.
That's true.
How do you pronounce that, Matt?
I'd probably say guillotine.
Really? I've
Yeah.
always known it to be guillotine, but
But that is the correct French pronunciation. It's a French thing. But
So French people take the 2 L's and turn that into a Y, just like Spanish people do.
yeah, it's similar. So
Very interesting. Very interesting.
No fact that the guillotine or guillotine, it's no longer in use in France, obviously, but it is still in use in various magic shows around the country.
That's true. That is very
and
true.
Alice Cooper's current tour with Motley Crue.
Yeah.
And inspired the slap chop vegetable chopper late night.
Slap chop. This is also...
It's unbelievable. It's like a guillotine for your carrots.
I still want to know who was it who got guillotined. That's
Who the last guy? Can you imagine? At least it'd be a little kind of nice to know that. Yeah, you're about to be killed by the state in a violent way. Your head will roll into a bucket. But, you're the last guy. You're very vintage.
You are going to be a quiz answer in a few years' time. So if you...
Even though, sadly, we don't even know his name. We don't even owe him that kind of respect.
We'll see if Aristotle can find it up, but I couldn't find it up. This article I was reading didn't have it listed. It was just it's Star Wars.
But if it turns out to still be just like a French king, that there was just one left over that they missed.
That's so goddamn funny.
That would be a very unpleasant way to die. Just because I just don't feel like it'd probably be painless if it worked well, but I just feel like, sometimes you just take a punch wrong or I feel like my neck would be placed there in the wrong angle, or I'd get nervous and lift my head. It would just hit me at several angles, and it would ow, you'd really feel it going through.
Well, I know executioners people used to tip their executioner to sharpen their blade.
Oh, wow.
When it's old axe style execution, they tip the executioner, do this cleanly, make it, or whoever's tying the noose, get it right.
No kidding. That reminds me.
If I'm going to go, I want to go in one go. I don't want to be slowly hacked away.
Yeah, that's true. That reminds me of one of my favorite stupid jokes of all time. There was a Polish man, an American man, and a Chinese man about to be hung over the ocean. And the American man, they pull the lever, and the bottom drops out, and his rope comes loose, and he falls in the water and swims away. And the Chinese man, it's his turn. They put a noose around his neck, and they pull the lever, and his rope comes loose, and he falls in the water and swims away. And the Polish guy gets really nervous, and he goes, "Please tighten the rope. I can't swim."
Those are so I was just expecting those jokes, those dad jokes are so funny and stupid.
They're so dumb. And that's childhood jokes, but
it's so fucking funny though.
But I loved it as a kid, and then a few years ago I realized that really logic doesn't really hold up, because you would want it tightened. If you can't swim, they say drowning's the worst way to die.
And also, here's the other thing: the Chinese and the Spanish guy, how far out in the ocean are they dropping them? Even the world's greatest swimmer is very unlikely to survive if you dropped in the middle of an ocean.
Yeah, plus there's
which way do you swim? Where you don't know which way land is.
That's true. Well, I'm sort of picturing that the hanging thing would be off a pier, that it wouldn't be in the middle of the ocean, on a boat.
Right. Okay.
That's the way I would visualize it, but I could be wrong.
Yeah, because the way I saw it was the Polish guy is just deciding, okay, well, I'm destined to die here, but let's make this. He's going fully practical.
The moral of the story is Polish are a lot smarter than we give them credit for.
100%.
Yeah.
Aristotle, I believe, has a name for us for the last person to be guillotined.
It was 2 guys. One was child murderer Kirshen Ranucci.
Child murderer Kirshen Ranucci.
They should have known with that name.
Yeah, seriously. Hi, I'm here to be your nanny. My name's Kirshen Ranucci.
I am child murderer Kirshen.
Yeah, you really should have left that
child
prefix off his name. Is it Mr., Mrs., or child murderer?
And then torture murderer Hamida Jandoubi. I don't know how to say his name.
Torture murderer Hamida Jandoubi.
Jandoubi.
Torture.
He's got
murderer.
Doobie in his name, at least.
I feel isn't murder already a form of torture? Why do you need to torture and then murder you?
Yeah, that's true. That's a good point.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like you want to finish the deal. It's almost like benevolent of them at the end. It's like, look, I'll torture you, but then I'm like not a bad guy. I'll kill you at the end.
Yeah.
Put you out of your misery. I understand he was actually part of the torture murder duo, the Jan Doobie Brothers. That was a big part of their lives.
The torture murderers are they're the people who, if they find a child murderer in prison, they're going to murder the child murderer. They
but
don't
that's like a good guy. That's like a nice guy. That's like a great benevolent murderer who actually does it for like justice reasons.
Here's something I was reading about. This interests me. I didn't really know this. I knew there's like Hasidic Jews, but I didn't know about this. I didn't know there was actually two other types. Well, essentially, Matt. Now I was reading Matt's Wikipedia page, and it lists Matt as an Ashkenazi Jew. Is that how am I pronouncing?
Yeah, Ashkenazi, and there's Sephardic Jews. But I should point out when you say Hasidic,
that's different.
But that's different.
It's like religious Jewish.
Yeah,
right?
well, Ashkenazi and Sephardi is basically which racial, like ethnic group you are made out of. So it's sort of where you come from. Like, Ben, are you Jewish?
I am Jewish. Yes.
So, what's your?
Well, that's the funny thing. I never. So there's two options, and it's my heritage. I can never even remember which of the two I am. I literally texted my father when I saw this topic today.
Yeah.
I texted my father, "Are we Ashkenazi or Sephardic?" He didn't even reply to me because I don't think he sees when texts come in.
So they do have like the Ashkenazi communities have slightly different services and slightly different synagogues, but it's basically whether you came from like Eastern, it's like white Jews or darker Jews. Although my skin's quite dark, so there's probably some Sephardic in me as well. But
it's Central and Eastern Europe, or it's African. Based, right?
Yeah. So like the sort of Spanish, Moorish, and Middle Eastern origin Jews tend to be Sephardic, and the sort of Eastern European ones tend to be Ashkenazi.
Well, my dad just wrote back, "I'm Ashkenazi." Look at this. I literally have a text sitting right there.
Oh, yeah.
That is amazing.
So according to Wikipedia, you guys are descendants of Jews who emerged from the Holy Roman Empire.
You better believe it.
Turn of the first millennium.
Yeah. There we go.
And established communities in Central and Eastern Europe.
Oh, yeah.
Notable Ashkenazi Jews, Albert Einstein and Frank and Leonard Bernstein. Yeah. Leonard Bernstein.
There's here's the thing, because when you mention Hasidic Jews, there's two kinds of divisions of where Judaism is. There's like the sort of racial division, but there's also within like Ashkenazi Jewry, there's different levels of how serious you are about the religion. So my family, went to what was known as an Orthodox synagogue. It was part of the United Synagogue.
I'm so sorry.
And now my family part of the Reform.
Oh, there you
and
go.
there's liberal. And then the Hasidic are even more religious and observant. And then there's the sort of Haredim, and they're basically, as far as I can tell, Judaism seems to be categorized by
how lazy you want to be with your wardrobe.
How lazy you are, and like at what level do you kind of go, nah, that's bullshit, right?
Yeah.
That seems to be the way it's that, like what your
how
tolerance is.
How cool are you
for
with
nonsense.
a bunch of old bullshit that we're going to make you do? Like a 4 on a 1 to 10. All right, you're like a reform. You're like a slightly conservative edge reform.
Yeah, it's
very silly. It's unbelievable. What's the Sarah Silverman line is that I think about Orthodox Hasidic Jews always wearing the thick suit in the summer with the hat, and then she goes, "I think God will be okay if you wear a nice cotton blend." I really don't think the Lord minds.
So, especially like on the 100-degree days.
Yeah.
So that interests me. I didn't realize, I guess, that there was different racial forms of Jew, I guess. If Jewish. I feel like
you don't know anything about Jewish terms. Like you're almost phrasing it offensively every time. There's different forms of Jew, of Jewish, of Jewish.
Exactly,
I'm a white boy.
Yeah. That's what I
hope y'all brought your guns.
Like, well, that's what I say Jew as Jew. That's what I have no idea about, because some people say like when the phrase Jew is offensive or whatever, and others people say it's not or whatever. So
it depends a lot on how it's said.
A lot, yes. What accent?
Yeah.
What volume level? It really matters. You can't just say you're a Jew. You could say you're a Jew, but it's better to say you're Jewish, right?
Yeah.
But then I could say I'm a Jew. But it really depends. Try it in the context. I want to see how you naturally say it.
You guys are Jews.
Okay, that's a good way.
Yeah,
you're a Jew. Like
that way's fine. Now you're getting a little aggressive. That second attempt there was a little aggressive.
What about this? Motherfucking Jews.
That's fine.
Yeah.
That's fine.
You cool with that one?
I could do that.
Yeah.
But it's weird. It's almost like it's kind of almost like religious chromatography. It's just like, how far up do you go? How far do you go up the line before you just stop and like, nah, this is it. This is my level.
Stop here.
I'm like middling liberal to liberal to reform.
And that's a weird thing, too. It's like, how does a religion allow different levels? Doesn't that premise just undermine the whole concept?
The whole idea.
These are the laws of God, the word of God, but you decide how into it you are.
Because of Christianity, the different sects are very much divided by what they believe, like, the rules are.
And they hate each other and don't respect each other.
So there's, like, a very distinct difference between the history and the ideas of Catholicism and Anglicanism and whatever.
And the Jews are like, we don't eat bacon, but if you eat bacon, okay.
Yeah, it's like, or like, women and men have to pray separately in the synagogue, and then the liberal guys are like, no, they can pray together. And then some of them are like, and they can be rabbis as well.
Yeah.
And then the Orthodox ones are like, they can't be rabbis. It's just
bananas. I mean, when are we going to evolve past all this tribalistic craziness?
Yeah.
It's my opinion.
It's speaking of religion, and as many listeners know, on our coins it says in God we trust, and on the other side or whatever it says e pluribus unum. I never really, I knew a long time ago what e pluribus unum meant.
That's from the Wizard of Oz, right?
I seen a funny thing. Speaking of Wizard of Oz, I seen a picture on the internet today of the backs of the Tin Man, the Lion, and Dorothy, and all that. And as the wizard was Samuel L. Jackson, and it's just like, what do you motherfuckers want? I thought that was pretty funny. But e pluribus unum is Latin for out of many, one, and alternatively one out of many, and that actually originates from a Roman poem about making like a pesto form of dish. The motto was suggested in 1776 by Pierre Eugene du Cimetière.
So it was a cooking instruction?
It was.
They got taken to be a metaphor for humanity?
Yes, exactly right. How apropos is that? At least right for America, isn't it? Basically, we love to eat. Let's all do it together, family style.
So you're telling me it could instead of being like, if it sticks, it's ready?
Exactly. America should just change its slogan, maybe instead of e pluribus unum on the back of our money, it should just say, America, a family-style restaurant.
America, seasoned to taste.
Exactly.
Melting pot, add seasoning.
Exactly.
It was suggested in 1776 by a gentleman named Pierre. He derived it from the Gentleman's Magazine, titled "The Gentleman's Magazine," and it appeared. The exact phrase appeared prominently on the title page of that magazine. That magazine got it. Long story short, from a poem attributed to Virgil, but with the actual author unknown, describing on the surface at least the making of moritum, which is a kind of herb and cheese spread, years and years ago. So that's it's essentially where e pluribus unum's origins are from. Is from a poem about making pesto forms.
Just
dishes.
from many ingredients, one nice pasta topping.
Yeah.
Which also really applies to anything you cook, isn't it? It's just from the ingredients, you get one dish. It almost seems like unnecessary to say.
Unless,
people are aware that's how it
doesn't, like, separates or something.
That's true.
Yeah.
Yeah, the cream does not rise to the top in your particular, and it just stays there.
Yeah.
Or if it does, then it would be separate.
You screw up your hollandaise or something.
That's exactly right.
From one, many.
Yeah.
Ah, shit.
Yeah.
Reblend that one.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. That's like a negative. This does not pluribus or unum. Here we go.
Unum pluribus.
Back to the drawing board. Pull out the slap chop.
While we're on the topic of food, here's another fun thing. It's March, which is one of my favorite months because A, it's my birthday, but it's also the time of Shamrock Shakes at McDonald's. I don't know if you guys enjoy mint shakes from McDonald's.
Here's the thing, right?
Yeah.
I have been in Ireland on St. Patrick's Day. Actual Ireland.
Yeah.
The luckiest guy I know.
They don't do shit. They don't do a thing for like it's an American
That's because they drink all year long.
Yeah, I mean it's acknowledged.
Yeah.
It's a known entity.
Do people wear green on that day there?
No, not at all.
Really?
Because I think that would be kind of like them going, "Hey, let's dress up as us today."
True.
Let's dress up as us.
True. They have to put away the leprechaun uniforms that one day a year. Just to not conform to the Americanization of their holiday.
And these rules I only found out when I was in America for the first time for St. Patrick's Day that people can assault you if you're not wearing green.
That's true. Yeah.
That's apparently
legal.
They
completely
can also
okay.
kiss you if you're wearing green.
Right? So if you are wearing green, you get sexually assaulted, and
Yeah.
if you aren't,
Yeah.
you just get physically assaulted.
Yeah, certain states on St. Patrick's Day, if you're not wearing green, you get shot.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, just you not wearing green, boy? You not wearing green? What are you, a Jew? Yeah, it's frightening.
The Shamrock Shake was first introduced in 1970 by Rogers Merchandising in Chicago. They created the shake.
People were so happy about it being introduced. Just 7 short years later, they got rid of a form of capital punishment. They're like, we love these shakes. No more guillotine.
No more guillotine.
We got to phase this out.
Word traveled throughout the land, and it ended up in France.
We were going to kill you with a sharp blade falling on your head, but instead have this delicious shake.
During the 80s, McDonald's used the Uncle O'Grimacy, which was a green grimace, which a lot of people don't know what grimace is, but grimace is actually a shake. Grimace was supposed to be a shake, yeah.
Grimace?
So it was like the monster representation of a milkshake.
The
Grimace,
purple character.
Grimace used to be brown, and it's based off of a shake.
It was a brown shake called Grimace?
Yep, and then
Is that the face you'd make when you would taste it?
apparently, but and then it over time they turned them purple. But so that's a fun fact for those of you who
Cool.
consume
I'm still annoyed
McDonald's.
with myself for probably having the Latin wrong for a ex pluribus unum the other way around. I think from one many it'll be a unus pluribum. It'll be the other way around.
Yeah, it would be. And that would be, honestly, that's like a much better way. It's sort of like be fruitful and multiply. That's kind of what yours means.
Yeah, that's like, hey, look what I've just spread.
Yeah. My seed's going everywhere. Into that Shamrock Shake. Yeehaw. You know what I'm saying?
I fucking love Shamrock Shakes. I hate McDonald's.
I just wish I'd use real ice cream. I like them, but like 8-10 sips in, when the temperature of that shake raises 3 degrees, you start tasting that it's very like not real.
That, I mean, exactly that is they're definitely they're not. I mean, they're great for the first sip. Like I don't need a large by any means. I can give me a small. I just want 4 sips and that's it. But it's so good. I love.
I know
mint.
it is good.
I love mint. Ice
Mint
cream.
is good.
So good.
At some point, I just stopped going near McDonald's, and I can't even really like claim it as a massive stand against fast food because I'll still get stuff from other fast food chains. But for some reason, McDonald's just like that was my cutoff. That was like,
Do you see Super Size Me? Is that what did it? Do you?
I don't know. I don't remember the point at which it was, but I just know that for it's been a long time since I tasted any McDonald's food.
Interesting.
It's
No,
not
I still
very
hit it up
good.
once in a while.
It's not very good.
They need to come out with a faster non-fast food, like a drive-through of some other kind of food. It's so convenient. Sometimes you're in a rush, you need food.
Yeah.
There's no other thing. There's no healthy, like, here's turkey sandwiches. We made 100 of them this morning. Drive
And cheap
through and
as
get
well.
it.
Like that's the like
Right.
I'll still, if I finish a gig at 11 o'clock and I'm like I need something, I'll probably just go through a drive-through and get some fries.
Right.
But there's no cheap option for non-terrible food.
Yeah, it's not cool. There's none. There's no good option.
No, it's not. It's all shit. I mean, you got Taco Bell's not good for you. I mean, that meat's not
Well, that's
even
the worst.
meat.
That'll kill you.
I mean, I don't like In-N-Out. People love In-N-Out, but I can't grasp it.
No, you're wrong about that.
I don't know.
It's very delicious. Very
It's so
tasty.
gross.
Smallest menu in the world,
It's
but
so
it's tasty.
and it's so inconvenient. Like the drive-through lines are so long. They barrel out into the street and prevent me from getting to where I want to go. It's just
Because you take orange.
I disdain.
You take orange.
Well, I mean, that's not the only In-N-Out that I drive by, but it's very true. There's a In-N-Out here in Hollywood off of Sunset and Orange near Highland, and it's just the worst.
Yeah, they do block the street oftentimes.
It's so horrible.
Yeah,
but
you don't want to go at mealtime on that street to get home.
Yeah.
This is a fun fact a helpful fact that
Absolutely.
Matt Kirshen, our guest, actually taught me a while back. The passbook.
Oh yeah,
The passbook on the phone.
that's on the iPhone.
Yeah, on the iPhone, there's a passbook app that comes built into it, and when you get travel reservations, you can click when you check into your flight ahead of time on the app of the airline or even on the website. You click Add to Passbook, and it automatically adds
The QR code.
the QR code to your home screen and to the passbook. Whenever you just press the button to turn the screen back on, you can swipe right on that image, and your boarding pass is right
It's
there.
right there. I love it.
And
so
automatically
handy.
checks you in for an upgrade too.
Yep,
I mean, I've enjoyed flying the last 2 months since you told me this so much.
it's really handy, and
More than
I just
usual.
I hated printing out and
Yeah.
remembering to carry it, and like I get actively annoyed if I go to the gate and they change my seat. Like for some reason, like if I even manage to get an upgrade or whatever, they go, "You got upgraded, yay!" And they go there and then they print out a ticket and hand it to me.
Oh yeah,
I almost
have
want
to
to go,
hold this.
No, why are you wasting that paper?
Yeah,
That tiny sliver of paper.
you tree murderer.
Yeah.
That's worse than being a torture murderer, really.
I
It's not worse.
I used
take
to
it back.
for
It's
a
better.
while. A few years ago, whenever I would travel, I would always go on. I would try to go on last as much as possible, just because then generally they will. The first class is if there's any empty seats. When I go on, I'll just grab one of those seats and start reading.
You just sit in it?
I just sit in it and
Oh,
start
no
reading
way.
it because more often than not, the stewards and the stewardesses are too concerned with getting the flight up and running now and getting flying away, and B, they're not going to question. Majority of the time, they're not going to question if you're supposed to be sitting there, because if it was about to shut down and those were empty seats, not only are they not going to question, because if they do question you, you could kind of be offended that they think you don't deserve to fly in first class or can afford to fly in first class.
Yeah, they don't want that argument.
So the minute
That's the smartest thing I've ever heard in my life.
The minute you sit down, just start reading, and they'll offer you drinks or whatever. And if they ask to see your pass or whatever, just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry, I seen it was empty." Just plead ignorance, and that's it.
Now, have you been caught out on it before? Like where you've sat down in that seat and the real person in that seat's come by, or the cabin crew's questioned you?
When that happens, just be like, "Oh, I'm sorry."
Has that happened to you?
Yeah, once or twice. But you just plead ignorance, and you just say, "Oh, I'm sorry. I seen it empty, and there's it's crowded, and where my back seat is. So I just kind of sat here. I'm sorry." And then you go and you sit down. I mean, if you're cordial and nice about it, they're not gonna. There's so many worse people on the plane being with attitude about other things that they're not going to be a dick to you for.
That's amazing. That probably would work, because I know they have a passenger manifest that says where each person sits. But recently I sat in an emergency exit row on a very packed flight, and they went up to one guy next to me who did the same thing. And they're like, "Sir, this seat cost an extra $40. Did you pay for the seat?" He's like, "Oh no," and he got up and left. And they asked me, and I was so tired. I said, "I'm going to try and say yes." I'm like, "Yeah, this is my seat." I just prayed they wouldn't look at the manifest. They never did. They never checked me out. It must be the same for first class, I wonder.
Yeah. But then
if you get screwed, you're going to lose your overhead compartment space. The only problem.
Yeah.
You're not going to go back. You're not going to be able to put your big carry-on.
Well,
Are you more of a checker?
Here's the deal.
You can still leave your bag up there though, because that's one thing.
true also.
That's one thing I definitely do. If the flight's pretty full and I'm boarding it a bit later.
Yeah.
I now know. Like, as you're walking down, the first open overhead bit you see, put your bag in there.
But you'll do it even in first class?
Yeah, because you don't care. They don't care. You just once.
Yeah.
Because normally the first
I did
class
that
people
once.
are
I got eyes. They're like, "Oh, you're using our cabin space?"
Nah, because most of those people are sat down already
They're
anyway because they
already-
board first.
Yeah.
But
They don't need it.
But also, it's much. If your bag isn't going to be next to where you're sat, it's much better to be forward on the plane than back. Because if it's behind where you're sat,
Yeah.
you've got no chance to get it because everyone
impossible.
rushes forward, and then
Yeah.
you're just stuck on the plane until everyone's gone past.
The stampede of angry, annoyed people that have flown cramped areas.
You're listening to Flying Tips with Ben and Razzle.
It's a great podcast.
Speaking of travel, while we're approaching our time here, while we wrap up, here's a fun fact about travel and Gilligan's Island here. The SS Minnow, the fictional boat that shipwrecked on Gilligan's Island, was named after Newton Minnow, the FCC chairman, who famously he called commercial television a vast wasteland. A minnow. A little bit about this is a minnow is a very small bait fish, obviously, but the TV boat was actually named for Newton Minnow, who Gilligan's Island's TV executive Sherwood Schwartz believed ruined television. Minnow was the chairman of the U.S. FCC, and in 1961 he gave a keynote speech where he just lambasted the content on television. And here's another side note. I never knew what SS means, but SS is only used for ships that are powered by steam. It's for a steamship.
Yeah.
So
The SS steamship?
So what are they called
I don't know
nowadays?
what the SS stands for. I couldn't find that out, but it's
Also a term Jews do not like hearing, by the way.
It's a
SS is
it's
never
a prefix,
awesome.
It's a prefix for only used for steamships. So I thought that was pretty neat.
That is very interesting. And the minnow to attack the guy that's in charge of the FCC and hated television.
Yeah.
Sherwood Schwartz, creator of Gilligan's Island, is like, "I won't have this.
Yep.
I'm going to make you in the theme song.
Yeah,
Every time we will slam you."
yeah.
Interesting.
Interesting.
So what was in his keynote speech that?
It was based about he was talking about how the content, how like you. I was reading it. If you look it up on Wikipedia, it was super long to copy and paste and to read on air here. But from what I remember recalling, it was that the content, you're going to see game shows and you're going to see shit that you would be way more beneficial to go outside and read a book and actually experience basically what television is now. Like he wasn't wrong.
He called it a vast wasteland, so it's pretty interesting that your job is to head up the FCC, and basically your opinion is like, I'm going to censor everything, go out and run, play in the fields.
I mean, he wasn't
grab a
wrong.
gun, do something. Unless you're wearing a thick Hasidic suit in the middle of summer, then stay in maybe and watch Gilligan's Island reruns. There's two ways to look at that.
Yeah.
My God,
So what do non-steam ships get called?
Ships.
Yeah.
Just ships, yeah.
I don't know. Well,
they were just
I feel like
it would be
just be called the Minnow, yeah.
The Minnow, yeah. Ship Minnow.
Well, no, because then, I guess the Titanic was just the Titanic, right?
No, it was the RMS Titanic, I believe.
Titanic.
I think it was RMS, I believe. I know it was something like that, 3 letters. I think it was, if memory serves, the RMS Titanic, the finest ship in the world.
So that might be for coal, because steamship, well, isn't that...
Well, it depends on how it works, because a lot of, I think coal ships are still steam-powered because it burns it burns the water in it.
I think RMS might have stood for, it was like an attribute to Celine Dion or a slam at her. It was really modeling songs.
Yeah.
Titanic. Maybe. Yeah. I don't know.
It was ahead of its time in so many ways.
Yeah, it really was.
Except for buoyancy.
Exactly, true. Behind the times in buoyancy. Because they claimed that shit was unsinkable. Yeah. In college, I made a short film. It's on YouTube. I recently uploaded for some reason. Oh, when they re-released Titanic in stunning 3D, I re-released my college movie Titanic 2 in the original stunning 2D, which starts when Rose is walking on the beach after she drowns Jack essentially to his watery death. Yeah. He runs out from the ocean, much like a hung man who's hung near the shore.
Right.
And he says, Rose, why did you push me down? I was just sleeping. Rose. And they go and complain to their travel agent for selling them this unsinkable ship that sank. And he's such a good travel agent, he convinces them to book another cruise on the Titanic 2. This time it's really unsinkable.
It's really unsinkable.
And then guess how it ends.
It sinks.
Well, I don't know. I don't want to ruin it for you. I don't want to ruin it for you.
Fun fact about the Titanic, they were playing the movie Poseidon Adventure on the ship. They were playing Poseidon on the ship. Yeah.
They were. Yeah. That's not the right movie to play on a ship when you're about to crash. And it is the RMS. It has been confirmed.
Aristotle has RMS Titanic. Does it say what it stood for?
Royal Mail Ship.
Royal Mail Ship.
Yep. Okay. Yeah, all the women had to be down in cargo. much like a Hasidic Jewish service.
Yep.
Separate them. You got to keep them separated.
Offspring.
That's what that song was about.
That's what it was about. Keeping women and men separate in Jewish services.
All of the Offspring songs are actually about
which makes sense
the formalities of Orthodox Jewry.
That's exactly right. A jury of your peers, if you would.
And that album
Come Out and Play. That was about a klezmer band that
loved
they saw at a wedding once,
wearing their suits in the sun.
Yep.
Well, no, I was going to make a Smash joke about smashing into an iceberg, but we got off onto something else.
What were you going to say? Let's take us back to that moment. We'll see if it still works.
It's just because Offspring, Keep Them Separated, was off the album Smash.
Yeah.
And the Titanic smashed
into an iceberg. Yeah. That worked. It still worked. I think it still worked.
Long way to go.
No, I think it still worked.
Long way to go for a joke from '94, right?
Guys, you want to get Shamrock Shakes after this?
I am down. Rock and roll. So that's our time here. We want to thank everybody for listening. Ben, where can they find you?
Go to bengleib.com or more so at Ben Gleib on Twitter, Gleib, or Instagram, or Vine. All of it is at Ben Gleib. And my weekly podcast on the Smodcast Network is called Last Week on Earth. I summarize everything that happened during the last week. News, politics, pop culture, trends. You learn everything about the news, and it makes you laugh. Okay. But I take the story seriously. Yeah. I'm like a one-man news bureau.
Awesome.
So you have to listen because I put in a lot of time into it. And if people don't listen, I'm going to guillotine my head. I'm going to murder myself into a bucket full of heads. So you have to listen or I'm going to kill myself.
Listen to his podcast and follow him on Twitter. Yeah. And Matt, where can sell yourself here?
Same deal. I'm Matt Kirshen on everything. Just mattkirshen.com, Twitter /Matt Kirshen, Facebook /Matt Kirshen.
Kirshen.
That is exactly it. If you Google something vaguely close to it, you'll get my name. And my podcast is
Munch Kitchen would not probably come up with it. What do you think it would?
You know what? If you typed English comedian Munch Kitchen, I reckon it'll be on page 6 or 7 maybe. You'd probably get there. And the podcast is called Probably Science, and we go through the week in science news with guest comedians.
So our podcast is very similar. You're just a little bit more niche.
We only just take one section of the newspaper, and you take all the others.
Oh, that's so much easier. I really should start doing less. I got to do more focused.
And as always, you can follow us at TWL Podcast on Twitter. You can send us an email at twlpodcast@gmail.com. Like us on Facebook. Today We Learned with Razzle and Dan. You can follow me on Twitter at my name is Razzle2. And
the number 2.
The number 2. My name is Razzle and the number 2. And I want to thank everybody for listening. I want to thank Matt for being the guest. I want to thank Ben for filling in for Dan.
Thank you.
And we want to thank everybody for listening. And as always, tell your friends and drink some Shamrock Shakes. So,
Munch Kitchen.
Munch Kitchen.
Now leaving Nerdist.com.